The COVID-19 pandemic has affected millions of lives globally and brought with it a great deal of uncertainty and risks to economic growth. At the same time, it has also put industries in the position to face and embrace new challenges. In the eye of a pandemic, rebooting the Indian financial services sector, a leadership series by Refinitiv, partnered by ET Now, is bringing together the industry's leading voices to address key questions surrounding economic recovery and the role that the banking and financial services sector will play in it. To kick off the series, ET Now's Karunya Rao spoke to economist and former Deputy Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, S.S. Mundra, on the topic Reviving Economic Growth, Staging an Effective Fight Against the Adverse Impact of COVID-19.
To set things in context, I would like to understand, given that the lockdown has been for over 90 days, many states, particularly the largest cities, still have not brought back full economic recovery. What do you think would be the overall impact on the economy? And by when do you believe we will start seeing some green shoots and some meaningful recovery kicking in?
I clearly feel number one is going to be an uneven recovery, both in the terms of geography as well as in terms of the sectors. Second, if you look at the history so far, the areas which were maximum affected by lockdown were exactly the areas which were contributing more to the GDP. So, earlier there were zones like red, orange and green and all that, but the red zone still remains somewhat red. They have not really become very bright orange or green. So it's going to be an uneven recovery. If we draw any lessons from the past, some sectors would certainly bounce back relatively fast. But if we talk in terms of the overall economy, I think it's going to be a long haul. Maybe it may stretch to a year or two before we really see some semblance of, normalcy coming back, or where we can talk about going away from the survival stage to revival stage. And thereafter only we should talk about the growth. I think sum and substance is this.
How do you think can financial institutions, banking institutions sort of play a role in this growth chapter if and when we start seeing economic recovery gradually?
Let us be very clear, there is going to be a substantial cost of this crisis. There would be problem for many units. There will be problem of their existence. Let us not deny that fact. So, for banks to do, first bank will have to really be worried about their own well-being, their own health. And then beyond that, supporting the client. So they would need, to my mind, both kind of support. Number one, if they have to do a meaningful credit with confidence, they would need some kind of backstop assurance from the government. That is one thing. And second, existing stock which is sitting in their book, it is going to cost them. Let's not be, let's be very clear about it. It's going to cost them. And to deal with that cost, they will also need a capital support. So I think it's too early to talk about the banking and financial system supporting the growth. I think what they are required to do presently is to maintain the survival and then gradually lead the constituents and themselves to a revival path.
The several measures that have been taken to address the pandemic to assist the various sections of society. Of course, this includes the 20 lakh crore fiscal package that the PM had announced a couple of months back, actually. The Atmanirbhar Bharat mission as well. And of course, several other farm initiatives taken to push farmers' income as well. How effective have they been, and do you see them meaningfully contribute to anything in the near to medium term?
20 lakh crore is not a complete fiscal package. Is a combination of something like 8 to 9 lakh crore which RBI has done by way of a liquidity infusion. Some part of it is being administered through the banking and financial system. I think it was relevant for the immediate requirement because the immediate challenge was to save the lives of the people and support the most vulnerable segment of the society. which were, of course,
Right.
the poor people who were given this relief by way of DBT, by the food, and the MSMEs, for which a 3 lakh crore package has been given. Because MSMEs are very important in the whole ecosystem as far as our country is concerned. So it helps. I understand that out of this 3 lakh crore, if last data point is available, something like 1 lakh 20,000 crore have been sanctioned, 60,000 crore have been disbursed also. But as I am telling repeatedly, all these measures are all right for them to survive for the time being. And even if you look at the measures, some of them are clearly medium to long term. They are not going to happen in overnight. But it's a right strategy, because this is a challenge and you are trying to convert it into an opportunity. So you take that opportunity, you lay out a medium to long-term vision and where some of these things can happen. But for immediately, it would need something more than this, because the banking system, for where a lot of responsibility of this is being given, have their own issues. There would be a crisis of confidence. There would be issues of the asset quality, and that is one area where they would need a clear support and assurance.
Whether it was GST or the latest COVID-related economic boosters, they have been talking about MSME and giving them a lot of special attention. What more do you think can be now done in a situation like this to assist them, and how equipped are these MSMEs to cope up with shocks like these?
One strength, a unique strength which we have and which banks have, they have a lot of data available post GST. And to my mind, those data should be leveraged completely. Now, from GST data, coordination between the government, bank, it is possible to know which unit has started operating, when did they start operate, how much capacity they are operating, how their operating capacity is improving over the months. I think with support of all this data, it is quite possible for the banks to provide a package which is unique to requirement of that unit. And if that can be done, which help the MSE unit to pass through this difficult time, nothing could be better than that. So that is what is needed to be done. But having said that, only one point I would like to add: to believe that only credit support to MSME would be able to take them through this crisis would probably not realistic. Many of them really need equity support and the kind of some distress funding support. And I think government would have to think of some mechanism or some specialized institution to provide that kind of thing. There had been certain provisions in the package which was announced, if you know, 20,000 crore for distressed MSME, 50,000 crore for the venture capital equity infusion. Key would be the efficient execution of these policies on the ground so that they get timely help.
Let's talk about the future then. We've seen a very massive spurt in the volumes as far as digital transactions are concerned, Mr. Mundra. UPI transactions have seen an approximately 24-25% surge in May 2020, as well as in the month of April. Do you see new business models emerging from here? Will digitization now be a big driver? How do you see financial institutions adapt to this phenomenon?
I think digitization is going to be the way forward. Not that, overnight it will take away all the corner stores or mom and pop stores or some of the traditional work, but certainly there would be significant change. Coming to your question about bank and financial institution, let's understand there are both the side have their unique strengths. So, but they lack some of the things. So the fintech companies, the new players, they have the agility, they have the capability to innovate, they have the strength.
Right.
Now, banks on the other hand have trust, they have access to the payment system, they have the reach, and they have the resources in terms of liquidity and capital. I think best thing would be happen for them to coordinate and work. So banks may be either entering into the partnership or alliances with this kind of entity, or even maybe doing some acquisition. That will be the way forward. It will be futile for the banks to try to do the same thing in-house, reinventing the wheel, which is not required. It is good for the fintech companies to move and have ambition, but they really can't expect to completely replace the players in the financial system. So they are coming together and leveraging on each other's unique strength should be the way forward.
All right, Mr. Mundra, thank you so much then for interacting with our viewers. Any closing comments that you'd like to add?
The only closing comment I would like to make, normally we tend to make good policies and our policies are generally world class. The problem is in execution. So if we have to deal with present situation very efficiently, we should not only have a good policy, but we have to ensure that there is a good and efficient execution. If we can break that, I think we can deal with a good proportion of the problem in a more confident manner.